lady that I see, that was her exact thing when she did my blood, is my cholesterol was elevated, And she goes, hey, listen, I'm not even going to point this out, because if you would have come see me 5 years ago,
you were good.
It was in the normal range. She goes, it says high, but I just want you to know 5 years ago that was in a normal range.
And I think this leads right into fitness, because going into health and when it comes to fitness, I think, maybe just a little bit about diet on this. And there's been some good podcasts lately out there on diet as well. Just recently, Sean Baker was on Joe Rogan.
Yep.
Have you heard that one yet?
Yes,
It was like
so
2 days
good.
ago. Really good, right? But one of the things he talks about is eating with people, right? And how that's an important aspect of our diet, is eating like that. That's why family dinner isn't just about what we eat, but it's eating together as a family. And I've never really thought about that, but that's why it's not a bad idea to go to lunch with somebody or meet up with somebody instead of just always eating alone. Like I don't go out a lot because I like to eat what I like to eat here at my house. But my family's usually around, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that was kind of a cool thing with, just to kind of start off with fitness, is our diet, eating with people.
Yep.
And then,
Yeah, I think how many times I've said it, that I am crazy about my family sitting down and eating together. And I mean, Sean Baker does a good job of explaining why. I do think it's biologically built into us to be important. I mean, we are tribal creatures, human beings just are. We're tribal. I mean, look at the political system in our world, look at the religious, divide in our world right now. And that is because of our tribal nature. And that alone means that we like to pack up with people that we love and care about. And
apparently it actually helps us digest our food better, everything.
Yes.
Our whole...
because of hormones.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And so, I think that it is important. Yeah, communal eating. But then it also, think about this. So it's not, when you say not just as important about what we eat as who we eat with, but here's how I look at it. Like sometimes my kids will have a friend over at the house and they'll see how we eat. Like Aspen had one of her friends over.
They're like, where's the Lucky Charms?
Yeah. And that's not what happened. We had just steak. A lot of times we'll just cook a steak and we'll just put it on a big cutting board in the middle of the table. And, we'll just all choose however much we want. And the girl's sitting there eating, and she just like loving life. And she goes, do you know my favorite meal? And I'm like, what? And she goes, it's steak. I go, how awesome. And Aspen goes, we eat steak every night. And she goes, man, I wish we could eat steak every night, and it was just cool to see her light up because it felt good. But the reason I brought that up is because what it does to my children, it kind of enforces those good diets where I know they're having good feelings. We're all together. They have a friend over. Their friend is enjoying the meal with us. Mm-hmm. And if we think back on our lives, we have some special moments around eating food with other people, right? Yeah. And so it allows us to influence other people's positive diets or negative diets through how they feel while they're eating.
Well, the world needs so much help with that right now. There's just so much processed food that's being eaten out there, and it's really sad. And I'm watching my kids. My kids struggle with it because like my boys right now. I mean, Dodger's pretty good. He tends to gravitate more towards the natural stuff. Bridger just loves the processed stuff, right? And I'm trying to Bridger, look, you want to build muscle, buddy. And, at that age, they're not thinking about that. He just wants to eat what tastes good, and so I'm working. I'm like, hey, talking to Lexi about this all the time. Like, hey, we just got to get all the crap. Just don't buy it. Just don't have it in the house. And we just bought a beef, and plus I just killed a deer. In fact, do you want to, I'll ask you, I've got a whole deer. I don't have room for it. So I will pick it up on the way home on Sunday from Salt Lake. Yeah. And I seriously, if you want it.
Dude, I'm in.
A whole deer. Anyway.
You don't have to ask.
But I've got my elk. I've got a lot of meat, right? Yeah. And so that's all I ever eat.
Back to friends, dude. See how powerful this is?
Exactly. So anyway, I'm just, I'm trying to make sure, guys, we have all this ground beef, ground elk steak, deer steak, beef steak, just tons of it, right? Like I'm eating 2-3 steaks. I'm loving it, right? Yeah. And just trying to help get them on there. And, the girls, I mean, Sailor and Jersey, they're more healthy. Jersey's working out like crazy and stuff. But they're, I'm still trying to, look, guys, this is how we got to eat. And they're doing better as they're getting older. But, I just think the world needs help with getting away from the processed stuff because it is killing us as a nation. Yeah. Obesity and diabetes. And it's just,
I think if people can get this one thing through their minds, they can impact their fitness through diet the most. And that is that sugar is the devil. Right? I tell my kids that all the time. Sugar is the devil. And remember, carbs turn to sugar in our guts.
Right.
So if you eat carbs, it's no different than eating a spoonful of sugar. So I don't care where it comes from. If it is sugar, it is bad for your teeth. It's bad for your body. There's nothing good about sugar. You don't need it. It is addictive. If you eat some, you're going to want more. It's hidden in everything. So I think if you can learn, and then here's another thing I've learned, especially being carnivore now for, I think it's been 2 years now. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I will eat something sweet, right? Nobody's perfect. And once in a while, I'm like, my wife and I, we just had our anniversary and hey, I ordered dessert, you know? And once in a while, my kids want to go out for ice cream. And it's probably like maybe once every 3 months or something, but I still want it to be a good time. And so we recently just went to Nelson's custard, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to eat ice cream, it's probably the best.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. And so I start eating it, and it is so sweet. And the thing I've noticed, stuff that wasn't sweet to me prior to carnivore is so sweet to me because I almost
you can only have so much. Yeah, you can't eat that much. Too rich.
I don't even want it.
Yeah,
it doesn't even. Yeah, I mean, I'll have this like, oh yeah, let's just go do it. It sounds awesome because in my past it would be fun to go do, and then I start eating it, and I'm like, no. And I have to, my son, he's awesome because he never wants sugar. Aspen does, and she's the only one out of all my kids. Aspen's 7, Rome is 9. Rome's never had a cavity. Mm-hmm. And Aspen has had one cavity, and he always tells her, that's because you eat sugar. I don't.
He rubs it in a little bit.
He does all the time. You've had a cavity because you eat sugar. She'll pick up something sweet, and he goes, that's why you had a cavity. And so... I mean,
you know what I appreciate about like Sean Baker is he doesn't come across as he knows it all, and he because nobody knows it all, right? However, let's be a little bit use some common sense, right? And what you're saying is sugar's the devil. I mean, I think for the most part that is true, and I think like the people go, are you doing are you carnivore? I would say I'm carnivore based, but I'm probably 80-20. I because I do a lot of biking or running or things like that. I feel like I need some of the carb stuff. I need a couple pumpkin cookies, and
need or want. Okay,
I think I need them, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. When I go full on protein, high fats, in fact, I don't do as well on high fat. Yeah. I understand the importance of fats, but I do better backing off the fats. Yeah. So, because I was doing whole eggs, like 6 whole eggs, I was doing 2 or 3 pieces of bacon. And I was putting on weight, and I wasn't feeling near as good. In fact, I felt heavy. I didn't feel like my heart was for me, right? I think everybody's different. So I started backing that off. So now I do like 2 pieces of bacon, and I'll do 2 whole eggs with like 4 egg whites. And I've been doing this the last month with that. I feel way better for me, right? So I think you have to figure out what does work for you, but use some common sense. And the main thing is get away from the processed stuff, right? That's the stuff that's going to kill you.
Yeah, if it comes in a package, like if you go to the grocery store, just don't go down the aisles.
Yeah.
I think that's like the best place to start. Yeah, and I think with diet, there is no one size fits all. We've had a podcast on this that nobody actually knows, right? And the more you know, the more you know you don't really know. Like at one point, I was a vegan. Today, I'm exact opposite. And I feel better and,
Yeah, your strength's higher than ever. You feel younger than ever. And that's where I'm starting to get to now. Yeah. I think I went, for me, too far carnivore, and then I was depleted. I was really depleted, and so I needed to crank up some carbs. When I'm saying carbs, I'm talking like fruits, like some banana,
honey.
Some fruit, honey. Again, those pumpkin cookies aren't they are a little processed. So there is a little process in there, but I also do some First Form has this ignition, it's glycogen stuff, which is I understand it's like sugar stuff, but I'll tell you, I take that and it helps me. I'm stronger. I'm stronger now than I was 2-3 months ago, and I feel a lot better too.
I would hope that anybody listening to this is not saying, "Hey, I need to do a specific diet." Just get intentional about having good food in your home. Your kids will eat better. You'll eat better. and just don't buy junk. I think that's a good thing.
Amen.
And then in addition to fitness is working out, right? Actually moving your body. And I just want to say with this, I know most people don't work out every day, which I think is sad, right? I would encourage anybody, and they say, I can't find the time. You can find the time. You just have to prioritize it. If you have time to live, you have time to work out. However, and again, I think most people avoid it just because it's hard, right? So if there was a place you were going to start, I think going and walking for a couple of miles every day, just going on a walk, whether it's in the morning or the evening, will start to transform your life if you're not the person who's working out every single day, and you'll start to notice a tremendous change. I think walking is the most underrated form of exercise there is. It's by far underrated.
I would say you also got to look at working out as important as eating. So I'm going to eat every day. I'm going to work out every day. That is how I look at it. That's why I don't ever miss. I have to work out to live is the way I look at it. And with the walking thing, I agree. I think walking is a great place to start. I also think, this is my opinion, is I don't think walking is a workout. However, it's exercise. So I don't know. So I think it's exercise, but I don't think it's a workout. I think I'm working out. No, you went on a walk. It's good. I'm not saying it's bad, but don't be thinking you're getting great. Now, look, that for some of you out there, that may be exercise right now. But keep in mind, if walking is an exercise, you got a problem, and you got to get on top of that.
Well, exactly, yeah. And I think what you'll see is if you work out every day. So, like, let's say you're not walking every day, but you're working out every day. What I think everybody should do some sort of something exercise. We'll call it exercise and not working out, right? Whether it's walking, maybe a 1 mile run, maybe a bike ride like you'll go on, maybe somebody lives by the ocean and they go paddle boarding or go swimming or doing something like that. I think you'll notice if you do some form of strength training every day, and then in the evenings or in the mornings you're going on a long walk or a swim or something like that, you will start feeling amazing and you will look incredible.
Agree.
And I think if you're not going to do anything but just walking, I mean, the science tells us. I mean, the fact is you are going to improve your health tremendously by walking a couple of miles a day.
For sure.
However, if you want to have an incredible physique and start setting yourself apart from the crowd, which we know what the world looks like today is like round, then do a 45-minute strength training exercise and do a couple mile walk or some form of exercise for 30 or 40 or 50 minutes a day, and you will transform your life in 90 days.
Hey, here's a test. If you go to the doctor and the doctor says you're normal, you're screwed. Okay, you do not want to be normal. Now, first of all, you shouldn't even be going to the doctor unless you have a broken bone or something, right?
Seriously,
like my hand, I got broken. Anyway, so we'll talk about that. But you,
I'll leave the jokes out of this.
I didn't do it. I didn't do this doing anything fun or stupid. It was just a random act of working in my house here. Anyway, where was I? Lost my train of thought.
Fitness, exercise.
You were saying doctor says you're.
Doctors, right?
Thanks, Blake. Save the day.
Don't go to anyway. But if you want to test to see how you're doing, go to the doctor, have them check your heart rate and blood pressure and all that kind of stuff. But even then, you got to be careful because they might say you have high cholesterol and you're unhealthy. I have high cholesterol right now. I guarantee I'm not unhealthy. Right. It's just my diet's. But anyway, if they say you're normal, if you're normal, right? Like you go get your testosterone check, they say you're in the normal range. You don't want to be normal. You want to be, what's the word I'm looking for? You want to be optimal. You want to be optimal, right? Yeah. Optimal. So you don't want to be in the normal range. You want to be in the optimal range. So just keep that in mind, when you go get those things checked. So many people go, I'm normal. Well, that's not good today. It used to be, maybe.
Yeah, but and another thing, they are doing in the medical world what they've been doing to schooling for many years. After COVID hit, what they started doing is reducing the testing requirements to move on. So they lowered the bar, but they've done the same thing for years in the medical community.
Right.
Like cholesterol is one of those things. If you look at the cholesterol limits, those have changed tremendously.
That's what I say I have high cholesterol compared to what?
Yeah, 15 years ago it would have been normal.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's just changed. And that's another thing Sean Baker talks a lot about. And there's actually a lot of study on that. It's funny because the lady that I see, that was her exact thing when she did my blood, is my cholesterol was elevated, And she goes, hey, listen, I'm not even going to point this out because if you would have come see me 5 years ago,
you were good.
It was in the normal range. She goes, it says high, but I just want you to know 5 years ago that was in a normal range. So she started telling me that, I mean, she's been a doctor for, 30 years. And she started telling me all the different years and how it's changed. It's crazy.
We got to remember all the money. Where's all the money, right? All the money is out there to all these companies own, these big firms own the processed food companies, and they own all the medical companies, and they own so all the money's there. So their job is to keep us sick so they can continue to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, if we all get healthy, their profits drop.
Yeah, and people say, "Oh, that's a conspiracy." It's not
Look
a conspiracy.
See who owns these companies.
Exactly. I just don't think it's that well planned out by all these companies. I think it's a bunch of smart people are really good at making money.
They're predictable. They're playing the Vegas game.
Yes, they know. Hey, if we put the odds in our favor, our profits are going to go.
Odds
up.
are people are going to eat this stuff. They're not going to work out. They're going to go to the doctor when they feel sick to get a prescription.
Yep. And that's the way it goes. And
because
so
that's human nature.
If their job is to make money, so most people don't know, but if you're an executive of a corporation, a publicly traded company, you have a fiduciary responsibility to put profits or shareholders over anything. Otherwise, they go to jail. So their livelihood, they have a responsibility to make money. And if that's what they're supposed to do for that company, that's what they're going to do. And then if you have everybody who's set up to do that, naturally it builds this culture of we put profits before people. So I think, to disseminate all this stuff in fitness, have a good diet, stay away from processed foods. Eat healthy foods, and the way you eat healthy foods is if it doesn't go bad in your home in 5 or 6 or 7 days, then you probably shouldn't eat it. If it's in a package, don't eat it, right? So if you want to eat fruits and vegetables, fine. I think the more you can eat good quality, high, what's the word I'm looking for? High nutrient dense meats is the best thing you can do. And then exercise. I think 45 minutes a day of heavy physical exercise.
Focus on building muscle.
Yes.
More than losing fat.
Yes.
If you try to lose fat, chances are you're going to lose muscle too. Focus on building muscle, and the fat will take care of itself.
And after the age of 65, your level of muscle has a massive impact on the odds of you living long.
Also, your brain health.
Yes.
Also, Alzheimer's, dementia, your skeletal muscle has a direct effect on that as well. There's been a lot of recent research, and I don't have all the scientific stuff you guys.
Yeah, I don't have all the numbers, but Peter Attia is a guy that's really good. He's got a podcast, phenomenal podcast, and people can go listen to him.
Gabrielle Leon talks a lot about this stuff too. Yeah.
So, I think that's a great way. Andrew Huberman, he talks a lot about this stuff as well. So I think that's a great way to to wrap up fitness. So
awesome.
Let's go to family.
Let's do it.
I think family is the thing that drives most of us. I think anybody listening to this podcast, probably it is their primary driver, is their family. The reason why they're doing all of this stuff is provide a better life for their family, be a better husband or a better wife or a better father or whatever it may be.
Whether you're consciously or subconsciously doing it.
Yeah.
That's probably why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I know for me, it's funny, man, as I start talking about family, because Kelsey and I were married for, I think, 7 years before we had Rome. So we're together for 9, married for 7 before we had Rome. I was 29, just getting ready to turn 30 years old. And we had worked our butts off, financially independent. And I'll never forget, Rome was like 2 days old, and we were changing his diaper in his bedroom. And I started getting emotional. I told Kelsey, man, I never would have imagined that my entire life up to this point that I meet this human I've known for 48 hours, and everything I've ever done, I would give to them right now. And it's just like that special feeling that you get when a husband and wife come together, you start having children, you realize there's something special about that, know? And so for those people that don't have children, I know a lot of times for me, before I had children, big driver was not only providing a great life for Kelsey, but also I wanted to provide a great life for my family, like my mom. I wanted to be able to improve her life and be the go-to person for my family. I wanted my family, if they had financial challenges, that I could help them, that I could alleviate the stress in their lives by willing to go do things. And it was important for me. So I think that there's a lot of people that maybe if you don't have children yet, just know that one day you're going to have children. And it's, by the way, the greatest decision. If you don't have kids and you're married, I think you should have them sooner than later. Right? There's never going to be a perfect time, and it's going to change your life. I was just talking to someone the other day. They said, man, we've waited for a long time to have kids. We were trying to wait till everything was perfect and found out we were having a baby. I go, well, great. Now your business is really going to explode because now you have this giant reason that nobody can ever give you. You have this giant motivation that nobody can ever hand to you, and it's life-changing, man. So that's my intro to family is I think that if you don't have kids, have them sooner than later if you're married because it's going to change your life. If you already do have kids, you know the intrinsic motivation that children give you. And I think that it's important for us as men and women to do all these things we've already talked about so that we can provide a great life for our families, have great expectations, and build great cultures, which ultimately lead to great communities like we were talking about, the power of eating in a communal environment. I think it's also important to raise our family in a communal environment. You know, there's that saying that says it takes a tribe to raise a child, and I think it does.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, and I admire anybody out there in the world that's doing good in any way. You know, and there's a lot of people out there that are doing big things in business or doing big things in service with different projects. And then there's, to me, almost I don't want to say necessarily another level, but another realm of people who are doing all that with a family, you know, married. Now, you and I both got started in business before we had kids, as you were just talking about. And, you know, there's definitely a difference between when you're single and married, because now it's not just all about you anymore, right? In fact, now you got someone else to think about. But a lot of times when it's just you and your spouse, you're still both independent people, you know, even though you're married and you've come together. But like you say, once you start having those kids, now it's like, okay, this ain't about me anymore. And there's some adjustment there, right?
Yeah, you realize how selfish you really are, even if you think you're not once you have children, for sure. Yep.
And now it's not just, now all I got to do is go focus on building my business or becoming the best ball player, whatever you were doing before, right? Or the best hunter or shooter, whatever you like doing, right? But now you're going, okay, well, now I got to really pay attention to my kids. And, you know, when they're babies, they take a lot of time because, you know, and luckily we've got good wives that do a lot of the motherly stuff, but you still got diaper changes. You still got to watch them. You still got to help out. Then they get a little bit older, right? And the older they get, the busier they get, you know? And so, you know, now we've got 4 kids and my youngest is 7. My oldest is turning 18. So, well, let's see. She's
you're getting old.
Going to be 18. She's 17, but she'll be 18. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? So it's just, crazy. She's 18. Is Jersey 18?
I don't know if
Jersey's going to listen to you. Dad, you don't even know how old I am. Yeah. All I know is she's graduating. Yeah. Like this month. So she's graduating early.
I saw Jamaica last night, and her son's 25.
Yeah,
I'm like,
married.
25?
I know.
Like, it made me feel
crazy.
so old.
Anyway, so now, you know, you got all that going on, and you just go, okay, there's just, my point is, I mean, when we did the Solid 30 Challenge, we go, okay, what can we do with family every day that you'd have to think about with your family? Yep. And it was committing one act of service per day for somebody in your family, whatever that might be, right? That might be, you know, maybe you're as you're putting your kids to bed, you do something a little bit extra. It might be you one of your kids has a chore, you do the chore with them or for them or whatever. Whatever. You might take your daughter out for a date or extra date or whatever it might be. So whatever that is. And so for me, that was a good little focus point as well, because I always need to be checking up on that myself.
Just to throw in a plug, I think dads, if you're a dad listening to this, I think taking your daughter on a date is a priceless thing that you can do for her.
Yeah, and I got to do that way more often.
We all could do it more often, but I think that our daughters remember it forever. It sets a standard. It allows us to be influential on the type of men that they're going to choose. And I know as dads, we hate thinking about that, but the earlier we can start dating our daughters and pouring into them and setting a standard. And just as you were saying that, I just had to mention that because I think it'd be a very valuable thing. If you're a dad listening to this, if your daughter's 2, I would suggest you start doing it now. So you can teach her, he should hold the door open for you. He should bring you flowers. He should treat you like gold. He should pay for dinner. Yeah, you know, these things that are very important that we can teach our daughters and our sons too. But I think for our daughters and helping them build high
The
standards.
kids are so
and
much
high
fun when
self-esteem.
they're young, right? And you get to know their young friends, and you get to know what they all, how they all talk, all their little words they use. Then they become teenagers, and it gets really fun because they got all their slang terms, and you try to fit in using the slang, and they don't think it's as cool as when they use it, but you use it, and like bussin', and what are some of the other ones? I don't know. There's all these
I don't know, bro,
all these words, right?
I just make fun of my son all the time. Him and his friends. I don't try to fit in. I just make fun of them.
It's fun to do that too, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, the family doing one act of service, I thought was a good thing. That again, you had to think about it and make sure you did it, because probably not something most of us do every day. I mean, I think I do something to serve my family every day, but not intentionally.
Yeah,
and there's a difference.
I think that's why we put it in there. I have to say, I think, my wife's listening to this. I'm sure she'll give me her 2 cents, but I think that I do a pretty good job in this. I intentionally try to do something on a daily basis that just is like, hey, I appreciate you, whether it's my kids or my wife, whatever it may be. And it just could be something simple. So that's why we added in. I would encourage you not to just make it a solid 30, but a part of your life.
Way of life.
And it's not something you can just do for your family. That's where it starts, is at home. But I think if it becomes part of who you are, then you can start doing it with other people, serving other people, your friends, people in your community. Just the other day, it was trash day, and my neighbors were out of town, so I just took their trash cans in their backyard, and they just sent me a text, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We didn't even have to ask anybody. You did it. Mm-hmm. And, people appreciate those things in your community. And I think it starts building this mindset of just, hey, just do something nice. I'm just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it feels good with our family, but I think then it really starts teaching our children and our family that we can also do it for other people around us. We know how good it feels when people do it for us. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. We'll end with faith tonight, just because I think faith is all encompassing with all this. And really, what is the reason we do all of these things is the question I think we should ask ourselves, and again, I try to remember this all the time, that I am doing everything I do for God, right? Everything, even down to doing the dishes or making dinner, whatever it might be. I'm doing it I might be doing it for my family, but it's because I'm doing it for Him. So I think faith encompasses every single one of these areas. We've already kind of talked about that, but during the challenge, we talked about the importance of praying on a daily basis, studying Scripture on a daily basis, and then read and do what was the other thing? Oh yeah, just the Scriptures, right? And then again, we're posting all this every day, not to brag, but for accountability.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, reading all of you out there that did this with us and that continue to do it. There's more of you that are still doing it now. I love reading your Scriptures. I love reading what you read that day.
What are you learning?
What you studied.
What did you get out of it?
I love that, and I love reading your self-improvement. What you got out of that, and then everything. I like to read. I like to see your reports.
Yeah.
It helps me. It inspires me.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And that's why hopefully we can inspire more people to actually do this challenge.
I think about the faith portion of this, and like I said at the beginning, it really does encompass it all. It's the reason we do it all. And I just think about that word grace, the gift we've all been given, especially we're believers. It's like, I'm so grateful that I get to live this incredible life, that I want to do as good as I can and be a good servant with every opportunity I get, right? So if I get an opportunity, I want to do a good job with it. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I have to, it's I want to, because I've been given this incredible gift. Yeah. And so I think if we can live this life of being grateful every day, and we wake up every day, because so many people say things like, man, I have to go to work. You don't have to, you get to.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to do anything. And so if you're grateful, I tell my son all the time, my son has a natural chip on his shoulder, which actually I kind of like, because I think I had one too, and it helped me.
No, I think it's good to have a little chip on your shoulder. I do.
But I think I have to help him manage it as well, like realizing it doesn't have to, that chip doesn't have to be an emotion on a daily basis. It can actually be a motivator, right? Not an emotion. And so I'm always telling him, I go, look, son, you can't be, you can't preach love and kick a puppy. I'm always telling him that. You can't be pissed and grateful at the same time. And so maybe sometimes where he's got this chip and he naturally just wants to use it to motivate him in like a kind of like a negative way, I'm always just telling him, well, what are you grateful for? Like, what are you getting out of this? Like, and so I'm trying to teach him to use that, like where he wants to push, like he's been wrestling. And it's tough, dude. Wrestling is tough. He does soccer and wrestling, and are both club, and they're both tough. Soccer is very demanding.
Yeah, real men wrestle.
Yeah.
The other guys go to do boxing, but real men wrestle.
Yeah. Well, and I tell him, you go play soccer, but you don't play wrestling, right? It's just like I tell everybody, you don't play boxing, right? And you can't let up in wrestling, and so he'll get angry, and it's when he does the best, but not if he gets too angry. So I'm always telling him, like, look, you've got to be grateful for that emotion you're having right now, that it's driving you to do more. And if you're grateful for the emotion you have that's driving you to do more, when you feel that, you know, oh, this is going to make me perform better. Not that this is a bad feeling, and not that I have to treat somebody else bad because I'm mad or because I'm frustrated. But if I'm frustrated, I can be grateful that I have the opportunity right now to increase my intensity, increase my passion, and win and get better and increase my belief and increase my skill. Yeah. And I was telling him, you can leave, and this, what's crazy is this was just on Tuesday night, so a couple nights ago, and we were leaving, and I'm having this conversation with my son, and both my other kids were like, hey, can we wrestle? You know, we want to wrestle. Cool. And I think hearing them say that because of this conversation I'm having with Rome is pretty powerful, because I learned those perspectives from the scriptures. Like everything I get from there, just saying, hey, how am I operating out of my life? And I still need to do way better at it. But I do think if you're constantly in the Word, you're constantly praying. And by the way, your thoughts, in my opinion, your thoughts are a prayer, right? The things you're thinking are constant prayer happening. And so the question is, if you are talking to God that way, right? You're talking to yourself that way. God knows your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, how you feel. And I believe they're a constant prayer. And so I think that has always helped me too, thinking like, okay, what am I praying for? Like, what am I hoping for in my life? What am I praying for somebody else? And I always want to be praying for good, right? And so I think these things, if in your spiritual life, if you can build a closer relationship with God, and you do that through prayer, through studying the Word, through understanding these great examples we've had in our life, it's going to help us in all these other areas.
It's good. It's awesome, man. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, if we, and I think just too, as you're talking about all this stuff too, you know, the importance of having faith over worry or doubt, right? Or worry or fear. And because worry or fear, I don't know if does it say it's a sin in the scriptures, but I don't know if it's a sin, but I think it might be,
don't do it.
Don't do it, right?
365 times. Yeah. Pretty clear.
There you go. So, So we're supposed to have faith, right? So when we're having fear, we're not having faith in God, and isn't that silly? If we really think about how powerful God is, and then, you know, we worry. You don't seem to worry too much, you know, and I'm getting better at it, but I still worry about stuff sometimes. And I'm like, okay, and I'm better at stopping myself going, what am I worried about? Yeah. God loves me. He loves my family. He's blessed me. He blessed me tremendously. I got nothing to worry about. Whatever is to come is to come.
Bob Marley said, and I'll be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
Be happy.
Exactly, man.
So all you got to do is sing that song in your head,
That's right, man. So when you believe in God and you really believe in Him, life is great.
And when you really believe in God and you have a close relationship, I believe there's something special about you, and people want to know what it is. And it opens up that conversation for them asking you to influence that part of their lives. And to me, that is like, of all the things we can do in our lives, whether it's making money or having friends or a great family, of all the things we can do in our lives, I think the greatest thing we can do, other than ourselves getting closer to Christ, is bring others. Yeah. You know, it is the ultimate thing, how good you will feel. You know, I can look back at people that have helped me get closer to God, and I'll always be grateful for that it led me down that path because of what it's done for my life, you know? Yeah. So I think that we can have a tremendous impact by that one little thing. And it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. What matters is there's just something special about somebody who lives in faith. Yep. And people know it. Yep. And they want to know what it is. Yeah. You know, and it does make you special.
Well, you have a light about you. You do. Yeah. You can see that light. You can see it in your countenance, and it's a real thing. Yeah. You can look at people and say, that person's, got some faith. That person's knows where they're going.
And
knows
some
what they're
people
doing.
they have no clue what it is. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but I just like them, or I don't know what it is, but they've got something special about them. And the majority of the time, that's what they're talking about. Yeah. You know.
Agree. Cool, man.
So.
Cool. Well, good. I just like to challenge everybody out there to hop on and if you haven't done this challenge, do it. and tag us and let us know. And every day you post it, tag us too, because we love to see it. And I can promise you all that these are the things that we do really on a daily basis to this day, and it makes all the difference in the world. And
I think also they can go back to the episode we did. I don't know what episode number it is, but maybe Blake, we can throw a link up to that episode that they can go back and watch that episode of exactly how to do it for 30 days. And I know I have a lot of people constantly tag me about Solid 30, and I love it. So those of you guys that do, thank you so much, and would love to see more people do it. And if you've done it and it's helped change your life and it's helped made an impact, send us a message. We'd love to share it with other people, to encourage other people to do Solid 30 as well.
I mean, really, could you imagine if, let's say 10,000 people did this?
Oh, man.
It would make a huge impact, and then that would lead to 10,000 more and maybe 100,000 more because of the impact it makes, and it does. And you that have done it, you all that have done it have seen it. And anyway, so cool. Well,
appreciate you being here tonight with me, man. It's been a while, and it was a good conversation.
Good to catch up again. This is good stuff. Appreciate you too.